I think that one of the most common feelings during the PhD is that nothing ever feels done. Like you have this to-do list that you try to achieve, but somehow it always becomes longer and longer and longer. And at some point you are opening so many side projects, so many different things and closing nothing, that you are at some point you reach that stage in which you're like, okay, why is everything keeps piling up? There are so many things that are open and nothing ever feels done and nothing ever feels completed. So how am I even going to manage all of that? So then self-doubts come in and you are like, okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. And I think this is a very common sentiment among PhD students, and I see that. I first saw that while I was a PhD student, and I remember I was feeling that way of nothing ever feeling complete, nothing ever felt done, nothing ever felt like I was finally able to close it and then move on to the next thing. There were always things that were parallelly happening, like projects that weren't quite done yet, but I was already starting another one, or tasks that weren't done, but I was already 3 tasks in with another thing. So that feeling can really, I would say, make you feel inadequate and make you feel like you are not working enough. And this is quite weird because PhD students are known to work hard. They work hard in general. There is this typical, I would say stereotypical way of viewing PhD students as people who are always in the lab, who are always working, who are always doing the hard work. And yet, when you are on that side of the coin, you would say, okay, but I am constantly working, but I'm never going to get anything done because nothing ever feels done. Like your to-do list is always expanding. So when PhD students come to me with that issue, the thing that I always tell them is something that I was basically working on myself, because I at some point reached that stage in which I said, okay, this is really not going to end up in a good way, because I feel that I'm constantly working and yet I'm never getting anything done. So the thing that I do typically with my clients is that I tell them, look, the way you can make things feel done is only if you do the task, if you list the tasks in a way that you can actually make them done. That means that if your to-do list looks something like, I need to figure this thing out, or I need to finish this experiment, or I need to finish this analysis, like all of those things are very, very vague, because what does it mean to finish an experiment? That could take a week, a day, or a year. So it's not something that is going to give you that sense of something that is done and something you can check off and cross off your to-do list. So a good strategy that I always tell them is to make their tasks tangible. Like you need to be able to see the work that you're doing, because a major source of frustration during the PhD is this kind of, my work is invisible. I'm working so hard and I don't have anything to show for it. So the only way you can actually show your work and make your work visible is if you turn those tasks into something that is completable and visible. For example, instead of saying finish the experiment, you can say, I want to run this experiment 3 times. Or instead of figuring, this out, I want to clean one part of the code and clean this figure and make sure that it's ready for publication, So those are the things that are going to give you a sense of completeness, because if you are constantly stuck in that loop of, my research is a mess and I don't know what am I even doing? I'm working all the time, but I'm sort of like stuck in that loop. It's really very, very hard to make sense of how much work are you actually doing. So one great step is to bring awareness to that and make sense of the things that you already have in order to make sure that you have something tangible to show for your effort and workload and work hours. So if this is where you're at with your PhD, if you feel super stuck, if you're like, I'm working all the time but nothing is ever done, there's so many loose threads everywhere, I don't know how to collect it and connect it into something that would make sense in a thesis or in a paper, this is exactly what I coach PhD students on. So I help them make sense of their research, structure their research, find out a clear storyline that they can then tell with their supervisor in their papers and in their thesis, and make sense of the work that you're doing, like establishing those precise next steps that you have to take in order to achieve that specific goal in your PhD, and then finally move forward, finish, submit, and then defend. So if this is where you're at right now, I want to invite you to schedule a completely free intro coaching call with me. I will leave a link down below in the description, and in that call we can discuss exactly where you're at with your research right now and what are some tangible next steps you can take in order to get closer to that finish line, whether on your own or with my support. So I hope that you found this video useful, and as always, see you in the next few days with another video. Bye bye.